Corona Cigar Company is your one-stop shop for all your cigar needs. Whether that's a brand new humidor, a box of those new cigars you've been waiting for, a top-of-the-line cutter or lighter, a place to enjoy the finest cigars and spirits with friends, or the only cigars grown right here in the Sunshine State, we've got you covered. Come visit one of our retail locations for the ultimate cigar experience. Visit us online at coronacigar.com.
How about that cigar?
How about that cigar?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Corona Cigar Studios for episode 265 of How About That Cigar Live. Thank you so much for joining us live on Facebook, live on YouTube, live on Instagram, and live on
Rumble!
So grateful as always to have you guys with us. And of course, if you're listening after the fact on the audio podcast, guys, thanks so much for making How About That Cigar part of your regular audio podcast rotation. And as you can see on the screen, click on all the big, beautiful buttons, the like button, the subscribe button, all of the buttons. And we really do appreciate that. And of course, join us in the comments. Let us know what you're smoking. Let us know what you're drinking. Along with us, we have a great special guest coming on in a few minutes.
We do.
But before that,
we need to talk about the World Series.
The World Series.
And finally, the Yankees are back in the series.
The Yankees, the Minnesota Yankees, the New York Yankees will be in the World Series against the LA Dodgers. Starts on Friday.
The two of the highest payrolls in baseball.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. I mean, we got a lot of money versus a lot of money. And they're two really, really good teams.
Yeah, I think
they have. I think they're pretty evenly matched. I think, no disrespect to your Yankees, I think the Dodgers are a little better overall, a little more well-rounded. But that's why we play the games. Like I do a damn thing. That's why they play the games.
Well, I think the Yankees are going to win in 7.
Win in 7. I have LA in 6.
I hope you're wrong, buddy.
But we'll see how it goes. That's just based on everything I've seen this season. I think it's going to be LA in 6. But if it's Yankees in 7, I'm not going to be mad about it.
Thank you.
I'm not going to be mad about it.
I will be if they lose.
It would be cool to see, because me being a Twins fan, I like the American League. I'd love to see another American League team win it. But that's why they play the game.
That's why they play. So,
NFL,
the Jets got smoked. The first quarter, they looked good. They looked solid. They looked like, Adams is there. It's going to happen. It's going to go. And then Pittsburgh smacked the crap out of them.
Yeah, just a lot of mistakes. Bad play on defense, bad play on offense.
And what was going on with Sauce? He didn't look like sauce. He looked like poop.
The Packers, my beloved Green Bay Packers, barely eked out a win. It was an ugly win. I mean, a win is a win, right? But it was just not. It was not good.
And the Minnesota Vikings lost by 2.
Vikings barely lost to the Lions. The Lions are
good,
legit.
They look.
Honestly, the Vikings are legit too. They're a very good team, and that's why the game was so closely matched.
Who would have thought preseason that the NFC North was going to whoop up on everybody?
I know. It'll be interesting to see when Chicago comes back after this bye week. If they're still firing like they have been. They've been really, very solid. So, and it's interesting because not all, but a lot of the divisional games between NFC North teams are later in the season. Yeah. So that's going to tell a lot about who's really, legit players. And real quick before we get to did you have another NFL thing?
One more thing.
Yeah.
And for the first time in history, I think Dallas is going to lose on a bye.
I think the bye week did defeat Dallas. I think it was 24-17. The bye week won. So Dallas lost again.
Yay.
I do believe if Dallas loses their next game, McCarthy's fired.
He has to be.
I don't see how any other thing could possibly happen.
And do you put an interim or do you call Belichick right away?
I don't know. I'd say just ride it out with put the OC or the DC in place and let them be an interim. I don't think Belichick would want to work for Jerry Jones.
No,
I don't think so. Minnesota Wild, hockey news. Minnesota Wild. It was a little rough in the very beginning of the regular season, but they're off to a 3-2 start. And what an exciting thing that happened last week. Gustafsson, our beloved goalie, scored a goalie goal. Insane.
That's what dreams are made of.
So few goalie goals in the history of the sport. Mm-hmm. And it was just awesome because they talked about it post game. And at one point, just before it was the Blues, I believe they were playing against. And just before they pulled their goalie, Fleury says to Gustafsson, if you see an opportunity, just shoot the goal or shoot the puck over all of them and just try it. Yeah. Why not? What's the worst that could happen? And yeah, boom, goalie goal. It was so cool to see. I wish I would have been there for it live, but it was a lot of fun to see.
One other thing in Minnesota sports, congratulations to the Lynx for making a hell of a game or hell of a series against the Liberty. I thought the Liberty we're going to kill them.
I think a lot of people expected it to be a sweep, but they made it a series. It was back and forth the entire way.
It was a battle.
And Minnesota held out, and just the Liberty were too much for them.
Yeah,
but
so congratulations to New York Liberty.
Yeah, good series overall. All right, let's jump into this week's Spirit of Mystery before we bring on our special guest. Spirit of Mystery brought to us by Postania Cigars. Do you find yourself unsatisfied with the top 10 list from How About That Cigar? Are you wondering how cigars from Postania didn't make the HBTC list but found their way onto other lists? Well, fortunately, you could be reminded every week with this Postania Cigars advertisement. Postania Cigars, the #1 unranked cigar in the industry. So this week's Spirit of Mystery, all the way from
Texas.
So you were just down in Texas, just got back this morning or this afternoon.
This afternoon, I went down there to meet my new grandson.
Very nice. Gotta love that.
Kind of a good looking kid. Well, looks like his grandfather.
This, the spirit in this glass smells really, really nice. And I'm going to give it a little tasty poo here. Just promise me that if I ever say tasty poo again,
I smack you?
You smack me.
Okay.
Oh, that's really sweet. I think that's got sweetener added to it. It smells fantastic, but it tastes like it's got sweetener added to it.
Bottled in San Antonio, Texas. And it doesn't have any sweetener in it.
Right off the bat,
it's a whiskey bourbon.
Right off the bat, I'm going to say that I love the aroma, but the taste is
throwing you off.
Throwing me off. It's really, really sweet. I'm going to say too sweet, but I'm going to keep drinking it. We'll see. We'll reveal what it is later in the show, as always with Spirit of Mystery. But let's bring on our special guest, shall we?
Sure, I suppose.
As always on How About That Cigar, special guests are brought to us by our friends at Drew Estate. And for the first time ever, Drew Estate has given fans a sneak peek of the brand behind a freestyle live event pack, and that is Deadwood Cigars. But consumers get to guess which of the Deadwood girls is making her debut. Each FSL pack pack is priced at $40 and includes 3 mystery premium cigars, a Freestyle Live torch lighter, cigar cutter, and ashtray. And of course, each pack comes with a QR code for an entry into a sweepstakes featuring a grand prize of a Harley-Davidson Fat Boy 11. Second prize is a $4,500 custom humidor, and 10 lucky winners will snag a custom ashtray from Subculture Studios. For more information, please visit drewestate.com. What do you? I was in the middle of reading something. You're pointing over.
I know. Didn't they reveal that already?
They changed the date. I think it's I think it's Wednesday this week.
Okay.
They changed.
Been throwing it off for the last couple of weeks. I'm like, the date's already passed, but I'm exactly.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you would please put your hands together, help us out. Welcome to How About That Cigar Live. Welcome back to How About That Cigar Live from Aganorsa Leaf. Terence.
Oh, you guys are too good. You guys are too nice.
Brother, it's good to see you again. How you been?
Just living the dream. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Is that a green screen behind you? Or is that real leaves and
no, it's
happiness behind you?
Real joy.
Real happiness.
Real joy. Real happiness.
Yeah. It's emanating from me.
So tell everybody where you're broadcasting from.
I'm in Miami, Florida.
Oh,
305, baby, as Pitbull would say.
Yeah, it's so like for reference for those of us up here in Minnesota, the high temp today where you're at was what?
80 something.
Yeah. So here's the weird thing. Late October, Minnesota. Today we hit 81 degrees. And 2 days from now on Wednesday, the high is going to be 50.
It was nice while it lasted.
I mean, we go from 80 to 50. There's no middle ground.
That's perfect.
No, that actually 50 is the middle ground because the bottom of the barrel is minus 20.
It's coming
in January. Let's not talk about that.
It's coming.
No. So Terence, I looked back through the history of How About That Cigar, and we've interviewed you at tons and tons of trade shows over the years and stuff like that. But this is the first time you've been on the big show since way back on March 31st of 2020.
Yeah, I remember. It was during COVID.
Yeah, it was like just when everything started to like close up and lock down, and
yeah.
We were talking about a lot on the show about how cigar shops are going to stay afloat and having to do like curbside, bring it to your car kind of thing. What a crazy time. I mean,
I forget
for cigars. It was the best time in
it was
history.
Yeah, wasn't it?
If you weren't selling a lot of cigars during COVID, you were in the wrong. I'm sure you're a nice person.
Yeah,
you're in the wrong business.
I black out the whole COVID year and a half, 2 years, like I black out when the Yankees lost.
Oh,
wow.
How many times are you going to bring up the Yankees?
It hurts. It hurts when I think of that. It hurts.
All right, let's not do a drinking game because I'll get too drunk tonight. But let's just say what's the over under going to be on how many times Raul mentions the Yankees tonight?
I'd say at least 10.
Yeah,
I mean I think we're already at 10.
No, we're starting now.
Oh, starting now. Okay.
All right, 10.
Yeah, I think 10. That's a good.
Now.
That's
I'll
a good
just
over
start going like this.
That still counts. Terrence, what are you smoking?
I'm actually smoking a blend that we're going to have next year, and I'm just doing some final validation on it before you start packing it up and everything. So that's what I got here.
Can you give us a little idea of that? Just a couple leaves that are in it?
Well, yeah.
Tobacco?
It celebrates an anniversary.
Okay. I like it.
All right.
Well, speaking of anniversary, so what we're smoking here in the studio tonight, I reached in the humidor and I opened up this box because I was like, I don't know how many I have left, but I opened up this box and I had just enough left. And this is from the Great Smoke 2022.
Oh, nice.
The Aganorsa Leaf
the
Maduro in that big Perfecto size.
That's
so we are smoking those on the show this evening. And
why don't you light yours up?
I am gonna light mine up. I gotta get all my stuff ready to go here so we can talk to Terrence. So I'm gonna get my cigar lit up on the Zikar Toast Cam. Zikar is the leading cigar accessory brand with innovative butane lighters, precision cigar cutting instruments, travel cases, and humidors. Each product is designed and manufactured with the utmost precision and attention to detail. The result is a range of products that exude quality and refinement, reflecting the brand's dedication to excellence. For more information, please visit Zikar.com. Well, I had just a little bit of a prepubescent vocal moment there. Did you hear when I said, please visit Zikar? That was please.
There's excitement. There's your excitement.
Yeah. What was it the Brady Bunch? Time to change. I don't know if I'm probably older than everybody, so that people might not remember that.
You're 6 months older than me, dude.
Okay. All right. So, Terrence, I wanted to talk a little bit about 2024. And how everything's going for Aganorsa Leaf, and sort of it kind of pulls off of what we were talking about just a minute ago about, sales were so incredible because people were smoking a lot more cigars during COVID and stuff like that. And we've seen, I've heard from shop owners and brand owners and brand managers that, things are definitely leveling off and waning, from a sales perspective. But it seems like, from what I've been hearing, that the quality consumer, is stuck around. So what have you guys seen kind of in this last few years since COVID, and kind of as that relates to how good 2024 has been to you guys?
Yeah. So I think the problem, and this is a good lesson for life in general, is you don't want to compare. Yeah.
Okay.
Comparing always causes problems, and because the industry right now, I would say, is great. It's great numbers. I mean, we're still even up over previous years. I mean, we still have the last quarter to go, but as of now, we'll be ahead of even 2021, the last 3 years, which were all kind of COVID years. It's harder because during COVID it was easy. I mean, literally, people had government money with nothing to spend it on except booze, alcohol, and Home Depot, and cigars and Home Depot. I mean, that was it. I mean, that was a golden age. That will probably, let's hope for society's sake, that never happens again, because it'll probably collapse and it won't matter if there's a cigar industry. But that was just a time that was just totally abnormal. And it was great. It brought tons of new people into the industry. A lot of them are still here. But the bottom line is this, is that now most of them have to go back to work, at least sometimes. They've got kids, have soccer, travel leagues, and they have to go to that. And then, family wants to go on vacation. So their time and their money is plus inflation and everything else. But the bottom line is they have less time and they have less money, or both, one or the other, or both. And so who's ever smoking your brand, whether that's 1,000 people or 10,000 people or 1 million people, they're going to consume and or buy less because they just can't. If you think about it, let's say you were working at your local lounge or even at home, whatever, and you were smoking 3 cigars a day. Now you're back at the office. You're probably still higher than pre-COVID, but there's no way you can keep up that consumption with the circumstances that exist now. I mean, it's just, at least as an aggregate. So what you have to go out there and do is you have to fight to gain new people. And so you have to go out there and find new consumers. And that's a cost. That's time, that's energy, that's money. And that's a hard sell for people across the board. If you were a retailer and just people were throwing money at you all day long and you didn't even have to open up the lounge, and have, really cleaning ashtrays and everything like that. It's harder now. If you're a rep and you got to sit at home for a couple of years and take phone calls and people were throwing money at you for cigars, now you got to go out there and travel and go to stores and really fight for shelf space again. That's a hard sell. And then for the manufacturers themselves, hey, we have to spend more money if we just want to do the same. Never mind grow. So those are people just don't want to hear that stuff. So it's not that the industry is not good. It's just not as easy as it was for those 2 years. And I always tell this story. there's a shop in Philly, great guy, and he was probably in some trouble right before COVID. One of the oldest shops in Philadelphia, and it's a store called Widmer's. And it's, if you're in Philly, it's a great shop to go visit. Lots of Aganorsa there, by the way. And during COVID, it turned out he had an old license that allowed him to sell like snacks and waters like they used to give out to pharmacies back in the day or something. Nobody has this license anymore. So he was able to stay open during COVID. People could go in the store and buy stuff. So he cleaned up. He was the only store open in like a 60-mile radius that you could walk in and buy something from.
Yeah.
And then I saw him around May of 22. He's like, Terrence, it's just not as good as it was. It's like, what? You want to be the only shop open forever? You want to be the only guy? Like you thought that was going to just be the way it was for the rest of your life? So yeah. And he's like, no, I know. But again, like intellectually, people understand that, but emotionally, it makes you feel, oh, it's not as good as it was. Well, yeah, it's better than not. Number one, in many cases, it's still better. It's just it's not as easy, and so. I think that's the scenario we're looking at, and that's what we're always trying to do. We're trying to add new consumers to Aganorsa. So and we're in a good position because that's still something that's relatively easy. It's not easy, but compared to some of the companies that have been around for longer and are deeply saturated into the market, it's harder for them to do it because of the amount of growth they would need, the amount of new consumers they would need. So that's the challenge now is getting new consumers to make up for the guys that are smoking less that you already have, and we're doing that. I mean, we're up, but again, it's a lot of work, and we're not up by the numbers that we were during COVID.
Yeah, well, it's tough when you have because there were a lot of, like you said, booze and home improvement project stuff. There were a lot of things that people sunk time and money into during the COVID lockdowns and a little bit beyond. And all of them, I think, have seen kind of leveling out. But like you said, the new consumers in especially the cigar product, the premium cigar product category that we care about so much. What do you think from the standpoint of retailers, what do you think what kind of responsibility do you think retailers have to fostering good new cigar consumers and both through gaining their trust as consumers and also is it about teaching? Is it about welcoming? What do you think the big ticket items are for retailers and new cigar consumers?
That's a great question. So in the first part, I mean, it's just it's their interest to do that. I mean, if you need new consumers, you're a consumer, if you have a store and, some of the guys retire to, Florida, or they move from Florida to someplace else, or, God forbid they pass away after, being there for 20 years, nobody is going to be around forever. So you have to have new people come in to replace the people that move away or whatever. And so to do that, I think that there's no singular answer. I think what is important is having channels to have that opportunity and take advantage of them. So for instance, some things are convenience based. So maybe you work with your local golf course. There's lots of people that might be the only time they ever they have a cigar. So there's opportunity there. And so that's one kind of approach is, work with kind of places in your community that you could have a cigar but the person wouldn't necessarily go into a cigar shop. There's having e-commerce. There's a lot of people that that have never been a cigar shop. I mean, during COVID, you couldn't go in one. You went over your neighbor's garage or whatever, man cave is what he called it or whatever it was. And you had a cigar over there. You started watching shows like this. And you got into cigars this way. So having having social media, having e-commerce, having things like that talk to people that, either don't feel comfortable going to a shop or just it's a different, consumer than it was in the past who they just don't do their shopping that way. And then, if you can do a bar, having a place that people want to go and want to hang out, and not just cigar smokers, but maybe because you got a good air filter system and you've got drinks that, guys that occasionally have a cigar or have never had a cigar will come in and hang out and have a cigar. And so I think all those things are important, because just the traditional model of build it and they will come, even if it's a really nice place, just that just won't work anymore. I mean, people are so busy, and there's so much distraction. So many things are trying to grab your attention that you really have to reach people where you can, and then do it in a way that will be effective for them.
Yeah.
Mr. Reilly, I got a question for you.
Mr. Reilly.
Yeah, wow. Mr. Reilly. Jesus. Yeah. Thank you. Do I owe you money?
Not yet. So can we back up a little bit? Since the last time you were on a show, sure, we have new viewers on the show. Can you tell us who you are, how you started in the cigar game, and how you got hooked up with Aganorsa Leaf for some of our newer viewers?
Sure.
Before I start sinking my teeth into you.
How much time do you guys have? I mean,
we got all night, brother. We're here all night.
So my story is Terence Reilly is about as gringo name as you can have.
And you're from Boston, so yeah.
I'm from Massachusetts. So, however, believe it or not, I part of my family is Spanish/Cuban. My father's his mother was Spanish, and they were in Cuba. Every Cuban thinks they're Spanish, so they're Cuban. So I had family. My uncle is Manuel Quesada. I have family in the business, and my father, he was never involved in the business. My mom's from Massachusetts. They got married. And my grandfather, though, he was in the OSS, which was the precursor to the CIA. He spoke Spanish, and he met my grandmother in Cuba. They got married in Cuba. I got pictures of my father and his brothers and my grandfather and my grandmother, all with a sign that says "Fidel must die," circa 1961. And so that was my connection, I guess. But I didn't grow up my father wasn't involved. And when I was younger, I spent a summer just for the heck of it down in Dominican Republic to work at the factory. I thought that would be fun to do for a summer, is go to the beach and go hang out in Dominican Republic. And what the heck, during the day I'll work in a cigar factory. And then I really got to spend time with it and see the process, see how much work goes into it. I think what everybody will tell you the same thing, is how much time it goes into making cigars and the craftsmanship. And then I'd go over to my uncle's house on Sundays, and everyone would be, eating and drinking and playing cards and smoking. And so I started enjoying a cigar doing that. And I was like, oh man, what a cool thing this is. And that's really what got me into the business, is that, again, we can't get rid of daylight savings. People can't agree on anything. Like, we still got daylight savings. So how is that possible? But cigars, you can get people in the room and they have different opinions and different backgrounds, different viewpoints, and they can still get along pretty well. And I thought that was really an incredible thing about how cigars unite people. So later on, my uncle, this is years later, was like, I need somebody to come work at the work with us, and for the States, we need somebody to represent us. It's a family business. We'd rather it be someone that's family. Would you be interested? And so I said yes, and I moved to Dominican Republic this time to kind of do real work. And I lived down there for a while, and then I came back to the States, and I worked for him for many years. I got to do a lot of cool projects there, the Quesada Oktoberfest, the Domus Magnus, all sorts of cool things. And then in 2017, I left and I came to Aganorsa. And Aganorsa, if you would bet me what company I would end up with, and you gave me 20 guesses, I don't think in the 20 it would have been Aganorsa. But so happened that somebody that had worked for us at Quesada was also had gone to high school with Eduardo Fernandez, the owner of Aganorsa, and he was actually part-time working for Eduardo as a rep for what was at the time called Casa Fernandez, the brand, in the Virginias and Carolinas. And he said, the company really is looking for somebody to do national sales and do the marketing, and would you be willing to hear them out? And to be honest with you, out of respect for this individual, I said, sure. I said, I'll listen to anybody. And the more I heard, the more I saw the opportunity. It was this company that everyone spoke well of it internally within the industry in terms of the quality of the tobacco. I was making some of the biggest name brands on the market. We're selling tobacco to some of the biggest name brands on the market. And then it was generally well regarded, but everyone would say the same thing. They'd go like, you guys got great blends, you got to make great tobacco. But your brands, people don't know them. It's very confusing. You have so many different names for different products, and there's just not, it just doesn't resonate with the consumer. And so for me, I thought that was an opportunity, because I don't work in the factory. I go down a few times a year and look at some leaves and take a picture and act like I know what I'm doing. And that's the extent really of my involvement down there. I can't change that for better or worse. But it was already there, and they just needed to bring attention to it and hopefully garner some interest. And so that was what my role was, is to work with our retail partners and then our consumers and really develop the brand and turn it into brand awareness and then hopefully brand passion. And so that's what I've been doing the last 7 years. It's gone pretty well, and here I am.
Nice.
Well, I got a follow-up question, Mr. Reilly.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, here we go again. Yeah. You get me. You get me to relax with the Mr. Reilly stuff, and then you whip out the bigger.
So, how does a company go from farming to making cigars for other people, and then making their own brand? How do you keep the quality up for all that stuff? For yours, for other companies that you're making cigars with? Tell us how that rolls.
So let me give you. So the background of the company is, in some ways, it's a story that's similar to a lot of other companies. In other ways, it's unique. It's similar in the sense Eduardo Fernandez is Cuban. That's a pretty common theme. His family left Cuba in the early 60s after they donated everything generously to Castro regime. That was yeah, they're very generous. A lot of people just decided to give it all up at the same time. Grew up in South Florida. I mean, that's a common story you hear, at least on the U.S. side of the cigar industry. But that's kind of where the similarity ends. He was not. His family was not in tobacco. He wasn't in tobacco. He ended up going to Wharton School of Business. Went to Spain in the 80s with his brother. Created a company called Telepizza, which is still around to this day. It was built on the fast food kind of pizza, Little Caesars style model that was very popular in the United States in the 80s, but it was not really a thing yet in Europe, and certainly not in Spain. So he and his brother went to Spain, and they started this company. Within 6 or 7 years, it was tremendously successful. They went from one store, I think, to like 100 something in less than like 7 or 8 years or something like that. They sold it off. And at that point, that he could kind of do whatever he wanted. And he always liked farming. He liked agriculture. And he went to Nicaragua, started investing in cattle and pigs and rice farms and tobacco. And because of the tobacco, he didn't have the expertise in that at all. He went to Cuba, and he brought back Cuban agronomists who had worked for Cuba Tobacco for most of their lives. And either because they weren't party members, because when you try to join the party down there, there's like 1,000 questions they ask you, and one of them is, do you believe in God? And if you say yes, that's the wrong answer. So some of these guys, they had done very well, but they had kind of been forced out because they weren't party members. And he brought them over to Nicaragua and just started growing operations. That was the original goal. And then as time went on, he just, got involved in the manufacturing and the distribution. So now we do all those things. Certainly, for a long time, I would say the focus was obviously the private label, doing the brands for other people. And we had our own brands, but we just didn't really put much attention on them. I mean, when I joined, there was many territories that didn't even have a rep at all. There was really no kind of marketing scheme really in terms of like what are we trying to accomplish here? What are we trying to promote? What's special about the none of that was really just stuff that they thought about. It was kind of like, here are our cigars, and they actually did pretty well considering they didn't really advertise or really have much of a sales force or anything else. So that's kind of how we ended up in where we are now, where obviously our brand has grown tremendously amongst the private labels.
How big's the farm down there?
So we have 14 farms, I believe, and we have I think it's like 4 or 5 in Jalapa, 4 or 5 in Esteli, and then I think 1 or 2 in Condega, so something like that. 12 or 14 farms, I forget. But we're us and Placencia are the two biggest growers in Nicaragua.
Yeah. So, kind of a quick rapid fire question that just because you were talking about the farms and their locations,
throw it at me. Quick.
So of all the farming locations in Esteli, because we've learned from a lot of people over the years that, different regions have bring different characteristics to the tobacco and things like that. If it were all suddenly whittled down to one farming region in Nicaragua, what's your favorite?
Well, I like that question.
So I let me always say, it doesn't make any difference what I like. It matters what the consumer likes. So let's be very clear on that.
Yeah.
Jalapa, for me, I like our Corojo from Jalapa. I think our Corojo, number one, nobody else really grows Corojo 99 other than us. And it really, we grow it in Esteli as well, but it really, I think has a signature flavor for us. And it's the biggest part of what makes Aganorsa stand out. It's not the only thing, but it's certainly, for me, I think the most important. So I would say Jalapa. Jalapa also has very similar conditions to Pinar del Rio in Cuba. Our farms up there, we have several farms that used to be owned by Somoza, the dictator. So, he was taking, the best land for himself. So I would say Jalapa. I think overall for the industry, when people think of Nicaragua, what they really think of is Esteli. They think of Esteli with that dark volcanic soil.
Yeah.
And Esteli is probably more quintessential Nicaraguan tobacco.
Yeah.
So can I finish my question of Mr. Reilly?
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Please, the floor is yours, Mr. Ramos.
Reilly. Ramos.
So actually, I just had one more question, Mr. Reilly.
This is going to be a thing now.
I feel like I'm in the Matrix.
Every trade show it'll be like hello, Mr. Reilly. Hello, Mr. Ed. That's what it's.
It might be Mr. Ty.
Oh,
Mr.
don't
Anderson.
call me Mr. Ty.
Mr. Ty.
No, you say that, I turn around and I look for my father.
So would you say that you make more cigars now for Aganorsa Leaf, or you make more for other people still?
I think overall we still make more for other people. If you take everybody, I'm not entirely sure, but if I were to guess, I would say it's more for is everyone else combined.
And you don't have any part of that side of the business. You just have the part with Aganorsa.
I have a little
Leaf
bit of it.
cigars.
I have a little bit of it. I have for the companies that were already there, not really. Like Illusion, like Dion doesn't call me, other than chat, about industry things, but not for any, I have no involvement in what he does or anything. That's all done through the factory and him and going down there and him, Kyle from Warped. I have no involvement in that. I mean, again, I'll see them and, we'll have lunch or something, and they're great guys. But I'm not in any way involved in anything that happens with them. Some of the newer guys, Black Star Line, I was certainly involved in getting them going with us. To be honest with you, what I do in those cases, or I try to do, I should say, is kind of hook them up with the factory and then get the hell out of the way. I don't want to be involved too much, any of that. I'm there to help. I will, and if, something comes up and they need me to communicate something or whatever it is, I'm always happy for any of them to help, whether it would be, they just, some of them, I guess, because they came in through me, feel more comfortable giving me a call if they want to get something resolved. And the ones that were there already have established relationships. They don't really, quite frankly, need me.
Yeah. Well, Eric Bay from Black Star Line, he's a great dude. We love him a lot. And I still remember when we had him on the show and asked him about, mentors, so being a young, new brand owner, that kind of thing, mentors in the cigar industry. You were one of the first names he mentioned.
Oh, it means a lot. He's a great guy, great company, great company. I think, again, I personally, again, some of them I work a little bit more closely with others, but I enjoy, again, Dion, I learn a lot from him. He knows so much about tobacco. Kyle from Warped is a super smart guy. Andre Viaje, You know, he certain, you know, on certain things, it's great to pick his brain and learn from him. And then Eric's doing some cool stuff. So I like all these people, you know, they're cool people to hang around with, and, you know, you learn something from all of them. You say like, oh, look what he's doing. And again, it's kind of funny with Eric. It's like, and I like history, but sometimes like, I'm like, oh man, I'm learning about history with Eric. Like they just did the Yasuki, the samurai, you know, and I'm like, there wasn't a black samurai, you know, and then there's like, yeah, there was, you know, and there was, you know, and so like, and then I'm reading up about like the history of it, and I'm like, oh man, this is cool, you know, and so with several of his, anytime he comes out with something, I start researching the name because it's got this cool backstory of this, you know, some historical, you know, event or whatever. Even the name of the company itself has that. So, you know, again, it's just it's fun.
Well, how do you not, Mr. Reilly, like a firefighter? Everybody loves a firefighter.
That's true. You gotta love a firefighter.
So, Mr. Matt, the floor is yours.
Oh my gosh! Now he's calling me Mr. First name.
Mr. Matt.
That's
Mr. Matt.
So
I don't know where
he knew last week when he told me. He's like, "Oh fuck!" I found out something he doesn't like being called.
Oh, see, no, don't say it on the air because then everybody's going to start doing it. So don't say it on the air.
When I call him Mr. Matt, you'll know. You know what I'm talking about.
All right. So I definitely want to come back to this part of the conversation, but I am going to, you know, hit the switch on the rails and go off in a slightly different direction.
We love doing this.
And
here we go.
So
You
all
ready,
right,
Mr.
so
Reilly?
I apologize in advance for that. This is going to be kind of a long setup to this question. So yeah, so I consider myself a pragmatist. That I just like to I like to learn from other people. I like to listen to all different opinions and, you know, so on and so forth. So I want us to talk openly because back on June 21st, I was on Cigar Dojo, beloved Cigar Dojo, Smoke Night Live, the cigar industry stock market. And I had some unflattering things to say about Aganorsa Leaf. And
I wouldn't go so far as to say unflattering. I would say they weren't positive.
They were, specifically.
You expressed concerns.
I expressed concern. Now, saying that now, I believe both you and I are being more pragmatic in our language than I was on the show that night. I was far more direct, and I'd even go as far as to use the word harsh with my language on that particular show.
And you've seen the light now. You feel better.
Well, sometimes you get, the lights come on and the show starts and you're on with the guys from Cigar Dojo, and I started rolling, and
but you're usually such a nice guy, so well mannered.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Let me also save you a little bit from all this. Like, at the end of the day, I never have any problems with anybody expressing their experience. Like, that's not, problematic for me.
No,
what I would always do. I mean, again, it happens like in any company that says this doesn't happen. Like a customer will say, "Hey, listen, I smoked this cigar and this happened." Now, that I appreciate them doing that. Like if they didn't have the experience that we try to set them up to have, and they tell me that, then I can, oh, what store was it at? Hey, let me take care of it. Let me go. So that's fine, and that happens. Sometimes nobody always has it's a handmade product. Sometimes something the experience for whatever reason does, and sometimes who knows, maybe it wasn't even our fault. Maybe it was out in a box in Minnesota, at the post office when it was 80 one day and 50 the next, and then that was the problem. You never know. But the bottom line is that, like, if you want to know how people are doing, and so that you can say, okay, well, let me correct that. Then on top of that, you can say, okay, is this something that everybody's having this thing, or was this an isolated incident? And you start looking at that. And then if it's an isolated incident, to the consumer, it doesn't matter if it is or not. Like, if he has a bad experience, he doesn't care. It's like, oh, everyone else had a great experience, so what's wrong with you? I mean, they don't. That's not the answer. But for us, we're looking at it. Okay, let's make sure that this individual does end up with the experience he wants. And then also, let's see, is this something that we need to address? Is this a problem that is beyond this one incident? So I don't know if that in any way
Well, sometimes
it has anything to do with what you're talking about. But that's
what you said kind of leads me to another thought, and that is, it almost makes me think that sometimes, for the consumer at least, if it's an isolated incident, that almost makes it, I don't want to say it makes it worse, but for the consumer, it's like they see, like you said, they'll see all their friends in the cigar shop, or all their friends on Dojoverse or Facebook in their Facebook cigar groups saying, man, this was so good, and you're like, I didn't have that same experience in it. If it's isolated, you're almost like, I feel like the odd man out. It's like, I really want to like this cigar, but I just, it's
and
just,
we want to solve that again. Like we want to solve that too.
Yeah.
We want to make sure, and because nobody owes us anything. Like the retailer, he can buy whatever cigars he wants. He doesn't have to buy our cigars. And the consumer, they have lots of cigars they can buy. They don't have to buy our cigars. So it's our job to deliver an experience that gets them to go back to the cigar, hopefully, into the brand, and to hopefully again be passionate about that brand and tell other people about it and say, man, you've got to try this from Aganorsa. It's the best cigar ever. And that's really all we're trying to do. But that's something that we earn. That's not something that's owed. And so if somebody doesn't have that and they tell us, for me, I'm always fine with that, because that way we can fix it. What would be bad is that person says, oh yeah, everything's great, and it's not. And then there's a problem that you're trying to fix, and you don't know, or that you don't even know about. So that's more of how we approach it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you really so the question I wrote, I feel like you already answered it, but if you can expand on it anymore,
Sure.
or if the question itself brings any more thoughts. But what I wrote down in my notes is, what is the best way for a cigar company to handle a bad review or some other form of public criticism, especially in the social media age?
So again, are you talking about from media, or are you talking about from a consumer? Those are two different things.
I'll say both, because like for media, whether it's a bad review or somebody saying something on a podcast, or if it's, somebody in a cigar group on Facebook or on Instagram or something saying, man, I tried this and I just, I bought 5 of them and only 3 of them smoked properly, or whatever it may be.
Okay. Yeah. So there's a couple. Yeah, there's a couple of different things there. The first is like, whether it's for media or whether it's for a consumer, is the problem an objective problem or subjective problem? So an objective problem is, I bought the cigars and they were all plugged. That's an objective problem. They either draw or they don't. There's nothing to really argue about there for the most part. Now, it's the draw is not an open draw, and they love an open draw. That's something that, okay, and again, Aganorsa is not for everybody. Like, in fact, I always say Aganorsa is kind of like a bourbon bar. We have all different types of bourbon, but if you want vodka, we don't have it. Like, you're gonna have to go somewhere else for that. So if you're expecting to get vodka, and we have bourbon, there's nothing I can do about that. And also, that the answer to that would be, thanks for smoking. I'm sorry that we're not for you. Hope maybe in the future your taste will change, or you'll try something else from us and you'll like it. But that's just there's nothing really that can be done about that. That's one thing. If it's a objective problem where the cigars are plugged, the cigars, the wrappers all have holes in them from bugs or whatever it is, that is a different problem. And that with the consumer, because we view the consumer is the boss, and so like we try to always rectify that to the extent that it's possible. Sometimes if the guy says, I've smoked 7 boxes and they're all plugged, can you go call the retailer? It's like, the guy's not going to send you replacements for 7 boxes of cigars you smoked every one of and didn't like. That's a hard one to help with. But if it's which we always give the benefit of the doubt, if it's seems legitimate and they're coming to you with something that you can help them resolve, then we just try to resolve it, because we want them to have a good experience, even if we don't feel it's necessarily our fault. Might not, like, oh yeah, I was in Arizona and it was 107 and my cigar pot. It's like, yeah, I mean, like, but I don't spend a lot of time like arguing about that. Like, it's like, right, okay, let's see if we can justify, or we can resolve the problem, and go from there. For media, like you also want to, so it's similar, but there's also the degree to which you feel that what they're saying reflects a reality. And
sure.
So like in the buy sell show, I really enjoy watching, because some of the things that they say to me, and it's going to start to rain out here. I may have to move.
Oh man.
Let me see. Maybe I'll go fast. I'm going to try. I'm just going to keep going.
Okay.
But so like on that show, like they'll say things like, and I'll use an example of like the cells on like the Mayflower cigar. Now this is a guy that sold like thousands of cigars, who's not even in the business,
right,
to consumers that probably don't even, half of them even smoke cigars, or people we have no access to. To me, that is like a home run buy. Like that, like this guy has access to all these people, and he's not even doing this. Is a part-time thing, and he sold all this stuff. Like, and then you'd hear things like, "Well, I've never heard of it," or I've never smoked one. It's like, well, okay, like that's not really relevant. Like that's not that opinion. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but that opinion, to me, it'd be like somebody calling and saying like, I don't like your cigars because they're so good, or something like that. Like that just doesn't, like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess we'll keep going the way we're going, because most people, would probably like that. So you're kind of, you're looking at like media a little bit differently, because if their view reflects a reality, you want to address that, even if you disagree. But if I don't feel the view reflects a reality, I don't necessarily, am going to do anything about it.
yeah.
I mean, I'd be happy to have a conversation, and I'll be happy to, to discuss it. And I'm always open to that. But, I don't think that if you have a view that isn't reflective of what people think, or is true, in that, then that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Absolutely. If the rain is holding off, then...
yeah, it's still holding off for a second.
Okay.
Now.
So
I think it just a few seconds.
Now this kind of goes. Now we're gonna go off that little
sure
switchback. I think they call it in the railroad business, and we're gonna get
the
back
old switchback.
We're gonna get back on the main line, kind of where we were, and that's about different blends and different brands under the Aganorsa Leaf brand portfolio, things like that. So, in your experience, what is the best way to really effectively manage your current portfolio while still staying open to creativity and, outside? It doesn't have to be necessarily outside of the box thinking, but just new, creative, interesting, fun stuff.
Within our brands, or from like private? You mean on private level?
Within the Aganorsa Leaf brands.
Yeah, so I think it's important to always try to stay within the realm of, to be creative within the realm of what you are. Like, I don't think that we could do like Drew Estate stuff, for instance. It's just like, that would be disingenuous. Like, whereas for Drew Estate, it is genuine, because that's how Jonathan is, and that's the culture that he and the team over there created, and that's reflective of who they are. It wouldn't be reflective of us, for instance. So I think it would come across as kind of, gimmicky if we like started trying to do things like the way that they do it, or something like that. But you want to be innovative to a degree, and again, I would use the Supreme Leaf as a great example of that. It was a project that was developed with Pravada Cigars. He came to us and he was like, listen, you guys have very traditional packaging. I think it gets lost. I think if you did something different, it would really be successful. Here's a design. You can use it, if you like. And there you go. And when I remember showing that at the sales meeting, and the reps were like, this is going to be a disaster. Like, this looks like Clemson colors, like nobody's going to smoke this. And like, people were like, it makes this look cheap, and and it was a huge success for us. I mean, so I think you do have to be innovative, but you have to really be innovative to some degree, within the realm of who you are as a company. Yeah.
No, I like that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's like staying, you can still be, because I mean, I think we've all seen and I've talked with the guys here about it. I've talked to other media guys about it, other cigar brand owners. There have been examples over the years of some brands kind of veering drastically away from sort of what fits, what just sort of works with their identity in a way to still be, you know, they're trying to be something that they're not, or maybe they're trying to shift identities, but going about it in
the wrong way.
I don't know, or in a way that doesn't necessarily it's not cohesive maybe with their current sort of brand look or feel, or I don't know. What do you think about that?
You may need to switch. I mean, like, we switched. So we came in and when I started, it was basically like, okay, what's special about Aganorsa? I always say there's companies kind of focus on one of three areas to separate themselves. And this is crude and nobody's all of one, but it's a good guide for me, at least, is you have cult of personality. You have the owner. I always use Rocky Patel as an example of this. It's called Rocky Patel. His face is on all the ads. His charisma, his personality is a big factor in what makes his brand stick out. You can't think of the brand without thinking of him, basically. Mm-hmm. So that's one way to do it. And there's companies that do that very successfully because they have that person that's great for that role. And then you have lifestyle companies. Who owns Davidoff? Who knows? Well, maybe you guys know, but most people don't know. But you immediately think of luxury. You think of the guy with the watch and the suit and you know, a certain lifestyle, and they've really attached themselves to that. And that's another way to do it. And then you have the product itself, product-based companies. La Flor Dominicana, Homo Ligero, say Padron is a product-based company. It's something about the product. And for Aganorsa, Eduardo's an amazing guy, but he's never going to be the guy that's out there in front of people. That's not what he's going to do. And then you have, we're not, again, a guy, I look like today I look like I sell used BMWs. That's not a lifestyle anyone's going for. You know, usually I look like Jake from State Farm. So that's I don't think that was some, you know, avenue for us. But the tobacco we grow is, when I joined, everybody I talked to said the tobacco, even people that necessarily didn't like the company, didn't think I should go to the company, were like, the tobacco is great. And so that was something that was kind of universally believed, but not a lot of people didn't even know about us, had never heard of us. So it was like, let's attach ourselves to that, which is our, you know, our leaf is our strength, which is the slogan. And call everything Aganorsa and turn everything about that. So that, I think that change was necessary. But if I had said, Eduardo, let's, you know, make a rap video with you, that would not have been something that would have worked. Like it would have been too far out of the realm of what he is. Yeah. Whereas the tobacco is something that he can talk about, like very, very passionately and genuinely. It's something that we can talk about, is something that's special with us. All our events are based on demonstrating that with the Fuma experiences, where you smoke our Corojo 99, Curry 98 signature seeds from Openness to Lee. So I think that you have to find what's special about yourself and then show it to people in a way that will be interesting to them. But you can't just show them. It can't be one or the other. It can't be like, you know, if what you're focusing on is boring, then that's not what you want to focus on. Or if what you're focusing on is so far removed from what you are, who you are as a company, that's not going to work either. So it's got to be a combination.
Yeah. So you brought up Khakis. And I have to ask. So, and you also brought up watches. So in the world of watches, you know, people know big name brands like Rolex and, you know, Tag Heuer and Patek Philippe and things like that. These are not only brands that are known for making extremely high quality timepieces, but high quality timepieces with insanely high price points. But then you've also got brands like Timex, you know, that make watches that are reasonably priced, that still, you know, keep good time and don't break the bank. So in the world of premium Khakis, what are the best Khakis out there? What is your brand choice when it comes to Khakis?
So I've always been a Banana Republic fan of Khakis. You know, I'll tell you a funny how I ended up in Khakis is that when I first started in the business, I grew up in Massachusetts, as I've mentioned before, and in the Northeast in general, people that went to work were dressed up always. They were always in suits. Like, and again, unless you were a plumber or something, you weren't in a suit. But like, if anyone that went to like an office or was like a salesperson or anything like that, you were always in a suit. So when I started, I would wear a suit all the time. But one, I looked much younger at the time and I was much younger at the time. And you see some guy in a suit, and in a lot of the country, it was hard to connect. Like I remember once being in some place and I said, yeah, we have these, we make a bundle series called, whatever it was back then when I was at Casada. And, the price is great. And the guy was kind of like, yeah, the price is great for a guy in Ferragamo shoes, and so like, it kind of like hit me. I was like, oh, and so the khaki polo look is just dressed up enough where you don't look homeless and you don't offend anybody. So you can go into a nicer store in khakis and a polo and, you look appropriate, or you can go into a more blue collar place and people, don't think that you're trying to put on airs. And so that was, how it started. And I've been doing it ever since.
Nice.
Put up Cigar Week, please. That right there is the truth. How the hell do you fit in the pants there? I can't get my thighs in half those pants.
Well, Terence,
it's all special ordered. It's all special ordered. One of the things that keeps me in shape is that all my pants are the exact same size. In fact, all my clothing is the exact same size. So I can't actually gain any weight, or I would have to buy an entirely new wardrobe. So once the belt gets a little tight, I start eating better and exercising a little more, because I have like a ton of clothing that's all the exact same size. So I buy a pair, and then the good thing about a good pair of khakis, I think this pair here, I think I've had this pair at least 10 years. This good pair of khakis I'm wearing right here.
There you go. And I will say, when I was young and in shape, I bought a lot of my clothes at Banana Republic. When I was young and in shape, I can't I can't fit into anything from there anymore. I haven't shopped there in a while.
When I was 12, I used to buy Banana Joe's too, and Banana Republic too.
When you were 12?
When I was 12.
No,
that was the last time I fit in.
I'm talking. I was still in my 30s when I was buying clothes from Banana Republic. But not anymore. Not anymore. But Terence, what we're talking, like 38 inseam?
I'm a 34, 38, I think it is 34, 36, 34, 38, something like that. But it's like you have to get them specially made.
Yeah,
like
they don't,
especially in Miami.
They don't carry 38 inseam on the.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah. That's I mean, and so this is something I didn't realize the other day, or maybe it was within the last few weeks. My youngest son, he's 15. He's in school band, and when they have concerts, things like that, they have to wear all black, black long sleeve shirt and black pants. So he had gotten a pair. I wasn't on this particular shopping excursion. Pair of black pants, but they're it's the same material they make khakis out of. They're just black, and they had pleats on the front.
Ooh. Yeah, no pleats.
Well, so here's the thing. I was like, why? And I looked at my wife. I was like, why did you put the poor kid in pleats? I was like,
yeah,
they're gonna make fun of. And okay, so pleats are back.
They're back?
Yep. So all the youngsters, all the 20-somethings and teen-somethings are wearing pleats again, and they're
pleats, huh?
Yep. I had no idea. Now I will tell you this. I can't go back to pleats. I cannot do it.
It's like the 2-shoulder backpack. I can't do it.
Well, I'll do the 2-shoulder backpack, especially at trade shows, because otherwise one shoulder ends up just killing you after walking from booth to booth. But yeah,
but you don't feel cool that way, though.
No, you don't feel cool, definitely.
So if pleats are back, why don't we just go back to Z Cavarucci's and what were the other ones with the square pockets?
Gerbo's, yeah.
Let's just bring it all back.
Yeah. Yeah, so
need a pair of Gerbo's.
It's circular. It goes around.
That's true. Circular. That's true. Yeah, bell bottoms were gone. Then they were back. Then they were gone again. I think they're back again, from what I heard.
Bell
bottoms are back
Never
again.
gonna wear them.
Yeah.
I'm so far removed from that it's pathetic.
Yes, Tony. Tony, I do have a pretty cool backpack. Yes, the Crux Cigars backpack that.
Who is that Tony guy?
That's Tony Hogan from Crux Cigars. Oh, you're just
don't know who he is.
You're just playing around. You're just messing around.
Yeah.
All right, so I think.
Is it? I think it is.
I think it's time.
I think it's time.
All right, guys, it is now time for this week's Numero de los Muertos.
Oh my God.
And as always, Numero de los Muertos is brought to us by our friends at Smoke Inn.
Honest Steve here with the GOAT to tell you about Smoke Inn's Cigar of the Month Club. Every month, I personally handpick 5 premium cigars. Another great feature is our Double Down Club. With a simple check mark, you can get double this great selections every month and save $10. Every month, there's a special discount code where if you like any of the selections, you can get them at a special discounted rate for our Cigar of the Month Club members. We've made it super simple. All you gotta do is log into your account. There's a little green button there. If it's green, you're active. You want to take a break going out of town, simply hit the button and you'll deactivate your membership. We get the stuff out on the 28th of every month. Our membership bills on the 28th, and we get every member's package out on the 28th if it's a shipping day. All delivered to your door for $34.95. 5 great reasons on what makes Smoke Inn Cigar of the Month Club the best club out there. Check it out. Peace.
All right, Numero de los Muertos, episode 265. The number this week is approximately 150 people a year die from this in North America.
Wearing Banana Republic.
Wearing Banana Republic. No, it's definitely not.
For their khakis.
So Terrence, it's been a while since you've been on the show, but basically you and Raul and our audience in the comments just play 20 questions trying to break down this number and what's the cause.
Okay. And so I can ask questions as to
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Jesus, it is not food related.
Is it like an accident, like something falls, not necessarily something falls on somebody, but something like that where
they're accidental death statistics from this particular cause.
Is it workplace or recreational?
These would be considered workplace accidents, not a recreational activity. This many men die from marriage? No.
No, way more than that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is it cops getting shot?
Nope, it's not law enforcement related. Stabbed by a fork truck? No, it's not stabbed by a fork truck.
Is it construction related?
It can be. It's not always.
Bridge collapses.
Nope.
Garage door falls on them.
Not garage door. Not forklift accidents. Not a chainsaw.
Does it involve machinery?
No.
Does it involve machinery?
Jesus says electrical shock.
Electric shock can be one piece of this puzzle, but that's just kind of scratching the surface.
Now I'm even more confused.
Making plans with Raul, then him forgetting.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, that happened.
Drowning via a bidet. Ooh, Jay Davis, you are dark, my friend. Dark.
Yeah. Bidet drownings.
It's not bidet related.
Thank God. God, I don't know. What other clues do we have here?
Is it building of homes?
It could be building of homes. It could be construction.
So it's construction related.
It in some of the cases, yes.
Faulty equipment?
I'd say most of the cases are probably construction related, but
faulty equipment?
Not all. In some cases, it could be faulty equipment, but it's a specific type of activity.
Yeah. So somebody said power line. That sounds, power lines.
It's not power lines. Does it have to do with a vibrator? No.
Not.
Please, no. Not smoking at least 4 premium cigars per day. No.
Oh yeah, falling from a ladder. Yeah, that's
not a falling off a ladder. Does
it involve climbing?
No.
Does it involve vehicles?
Vehicles are not involved.
Okay.
Does it involve falling?
Does not involve falling. Jason says power tool deaths. Sort of power tools. Tools are related. We're on the right track.
Out of mechanic accidents.
Specific type of work that happens in construction, or could be the auto repair industry, or
is it something falling on them?
Nope, no falling. Nothing falling on them, no people falling.
Improper grounding.
Specific tools, David Floyd, yes. It's not drinking on the job. Improper grounding. That's again, Jeff. Improper grounding is scratching the surface. Dying from disappointment when the Yankees lose another World Series.
I seen it. I was getting
yeah. So Jeff, improper grounding could be that's
part of it.
Part of it. Tree trimming, no. Chainsaw, no.
Is it city inspectors going to inspect the wrong house at the wrong time?
No. These are tools that use electricity.
Jackhammer.
Nope.
Power drill.
Nope.
Not a
and Andy
lawnmower?
Welding.
It's welding. Andy Meyer got it in the comments. So according to
welding?
Yeah, so according to the National Institute for Occupational Safety, estimates that approximately 150 workers die every year from welding related accidents, including burns, asphyxiation, and electrocution.
What type of welding? MIG, TIG, acetylene? I don't mean brazed.
It's so here are the causes that they have the most prevalent causes that they have listed. 1 is lack of training and certification. 2 is improper equipment maintenance. 3 is inadequate personal protective equipment. 4 is poor ventilation. Then we have ignoring safety protocols, poor workspace organization, use of defective equipment, or working in hazardous environments. Huh. So they range from severe burns to and anybody who's ever welded, depending on what you're welding, the fumes can be absolutely off the charts. You should wear, depending on what you're welding, you should be in a well-ventilated area or wear a respirator along with your mask, whatever. But yeah, improper grounding is a very common cause of having either, shitty, outdated equipment or just not knowing what you're doing when it comes to using a welder. Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of people that go out and buy a welder at Home Depot and are like, "Oh, I can do this.
I can do this. I've seen this on YouTube."
Yeah. Next thing you know, they're in the ER.
Yeah. Huh, I would have never thought that many people died from it.
Yeah,
I could see getting hurt, but dying. I guess the fumes.
Well, so the injury stats are 2,500 annual cases of serious non-fatal injury related to welding and soldering among American workers, or among North American workers. So yeah, that was this week's Numero de los Muertos. All right. It's time to reveal this week's Spirit of Mystery.
Excuse me,
brought to us by Post on Your Cigar. So I have to say this. I don't dislike this whiskey, but I will bet a paycheck that this has sweetener added to it. This is so sweet.
You're getting diabetes?
It's really, yeah. It's almost like a pre-bottled cocktail. like somebody like it's a pre-bottled old fashioned or something, but it's really, really sweet.
Well,
so I'm not even gonna try to guess what this week's is because I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Well, it's made by Devil's River,
and
it's agave bourbon.
Well, that would
agave bourbon. What the hell?
Devil's River agave bourbon, 40% alcohol by bourbon whiskey with natural agave. So it's got sweetener in it. There you go. Yeah. Kissed with agave nectar, this tasty bourbon is crafted to provide a smooth and slightly sweet finish. Yeah. I'm going to say that's more than a kiss and more than slightly sweet. I'm going to say
sexual harassment.
Yeah, that's a trip to HR.
It's not a peck on the cheek.
No.
Latin style.
Oh, yeah, this yeah.
See what happens when you try to broaden somebody's horizon with something new.
I know. I'm
power slam that. Let's get it over with.
Power slam this?
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Why not? All right. Oh, so sweet. Yikes. Whoo. Man.
So would you say that people like that like the Rio and RD1, that stuff that's sweeter with the cinnamon flavor?
Yeah.
Would like that?
No. Because that's so spirits that are either cask, finished in some different type of cask or something, but they're not altered. So this is an altered spirit. This has some additional stuff added to it.
It can't be bourbon, right? I mean, if you add something,
I don't think you can technically call it. They put it on the label, but technically, according to the rules, they shouldn't be calling that bourbon because bourbon wouldn't have any adulterants added to it. It wouldn't have sweeteners. It wouldn't have colorings or anything like that. What you get from some of those that have that Amberana cask finish, it's you get those sort of cinnamon notes, but it's just natural and it's not sweet. If you get any sweetness from it, it's just sort of the natural corn sweetness that's part of the spirit. Or if it's a Scotch, then just some of that malt characteristic just sort of naturally tastes sweet on the palate.
So would you rather drink that than Fireball?
I would rather drink this than Fireball. Fireball I find completely repulsive.
There's an endorsement.
They will not be sponsoring us next year.
But yeah, this just
Devil's River's out.
Devil's, yeah. I think anything that's got like sweeteners added to it, I usually don't.
Yeah,
I usually don't dig it.
I just seen the agave bourbon. I'm like, fuck, let's get that.
I mean, it's interesting. I will say that. I applaud.
Yeah, what the heck? I mean, yeah. It tries other different.
When I think like agave bourbon, I think, okay, so they took agave, but they distilled it and finished it and aged it the way that bourbon is aged. But this is just like whiskey that somebody put some agave nectar into. So I don't know. I applaud their effort. It's just not for me. I think a lot of people would absolutely love this whiskey, but it's just not for me. So, all right, let's jump into the lightning round brought to us by J.C. Newman Cigar Company, America's oldest family-owned premium cigar maker, creators of the popular Brick House, Perla Del Mar, Diamond Crown, and The American. J.C. Newman Cigar Company operates out of their 113-year-old El Reloj cigar factory in historic Cigar City, Tampa, Florida. For more information on their cigars or visitor experience, please visit jcnewman.com.
So, Mr. Reilly, let me explain something to you.
I'm never going to know that, Mr. Reilly.
I don't drink.
Senor Ramos and Mr. Reilly.
I don't drink, so when I go out to buy bourbons for our Spirit of Mystery, he's at my mercy. So I just I read and it looks cool. I'm like, fuck it, Matt's gonna try it.
Yeah.
No, you gotta try it is Peruvian black whiskey. My buddy's actually the owner of the company, but it's made. It would be bourbon, except it's made in Peru, so they can't call it bourbon. But they use this corn from high altitude, this like purple corn. And it's pretty cool. It's different though. When you drink it immediately, you're like, this is not your typical bourbon, but it's won some awards and it's pretty good. I like making old fashions with it.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Yeah.
So we'll be expecting a bottle in the mail Thank you very much.
Oh, wow, wait.
Hey, whoa.
Whoa.
All right. So let's. You were on the show so long ago. I don't think we had some of these questions out there, but it's been, yeah. I think we can go with some of the OG lightning round questions. The first one is, if you were about to get into a fight, what would your soundtrack music be?
Disco Science.
Disco Science.
Disco Science from Snatch, the movie. Remember when they let out the dogs to go to get the rabbit?
Yeah,
that's the song.
Proper.
I love that.
I didn't even have to think about it.
What a great, holy shit, that's a great answer.
Disco Science.
I love that. All right.
I've been waiting my whole life for somebody to ask me that question.
That's I can actually picture that scene in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Proper fuck.
Yeah. That's right.
So, Mr. Reilly, what is the most overrated and underrated fast food franchise out there?
Overrated is In-N-Out Burger. Overrated is In-N-Out Burger is good.
Very common answer for overrated.
Yeah, I mean it's good, but it's like people talk about it like it's like heaven in between two buns or something like that.
Yeah,
it's good. I would say underrated is probably Whataburger. I think Whataburger is really good. At least the ones in Texas. I've had them a couple times outside of Texas, and they're not as good. But like Whataburger is definitely one I always recommend.
Everything's better in Texas, I guess, except for agave bourbon.
Yeah, not agave bourbon. Nobody's perfect.
Well, I gotta go to Whataburger one of these days. There's none around here.
No, we can go to Texas.
So yeah, road trip. We'll find wherever the northernmost Whataburger is, and we'll just make a road trip out of it. I'm definitely game for that. All right, so Terrence, the zombies are coming.
Yep.
You get to choose 3 people from the cigar industry to be on your zombie apocalypse survival team. Who do you choose and why?
Oh, I definitely have to choose Fabian, my buddy.
Oh, yeah.
So Fabian Ziegler would definitely be one. I think, plus he's a big guy. He could probably punch a zombie pretty good. John Carney. He'd be good for fighting zombies, I think. And for the third, Carlos Sanchez, the last true savage.
Oh, yeah. I haven't heard that answer before. That's a great answer.
Yep. He's one of the last savages out there.
Carlos Sanchez. He can throw down.
Yeah. The zombies aren't coming near him.
I love that. I love it. All right. So let's jump into Notable Smokables, brought to us by Don Doroteo Cigars, a brand with both purpose and passion, dedicated to creating change from within. By developing their own land, they're able to own the entire process throughout the life cycle of the plant. They methodically carry out each step, ensuring that the final product is of the finest quality. The new Salt of the Earth lines, Piedra Viva and Piedra Angular, are available now at Don Doroteo Retail Partners. Visit dondoroteo.com to learn more. All right. So, Terrence, each week we name a cigar on the show that we smoked recently that was notable to us. This could be a cigar that's been on the market for decades that you just smoked for the first time in a long time, or a cigar that's brand new to the market that you smoked for the first time ever. Now, obviously, you're smoking mostly Aganorsa Leaf stuff, but if you ever get a chance to jump outside of your own portfolio, is there something you smoked recently that stood out to you?
I had the Aladino Corojo, or the Reserva. Reserva, right? That was an excellent cigar.
Yeah.
I don't think that's not new, but I had one not too long ago and it was delicious. Yeah,
Aladino's definitely doing good stuff. Raleigh, what's your notable this week?
Mine is it's called Ma Deuce, and it's by Hooten Young.
Ma Deuce is a great name.
The Hooten. That's the one
that's shaped like a 50 count.
That one was blended by I think Eladio helped.
Oh, wow.
with that blend, if I remember correctly. Yeah,
it's pretty good.
That's a nice blend, definitely. Mine was kind of an older throwback. I mean, not like an insanely old cigar, but probably 10-year-old cigar. The My Father La Reloba with the Habano wrapper. They made a few different wrappers of wrapper combinations of that cigar, but the La Reloba with the Habano wrapper on it. I think it's been in my humidor 10-ish years. But yeah, really, really nice blend. It's still got that, that Esteli, that My Father, punch to it, even after all this time. So nice.
I had a Naranj recently too. That was really good from Espinosa. That was very good.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's kind of a go-to.
It's a great cigar.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into coming attractions. Some great stuff coming up in the next few weeks on How About That Cigar Live, brought to us by Hoagland Insurance. And at Hoagland Insurance, they are excited to serve and educate any new customers and give existing customers a refresher. Whether it's a business policy, auto insurance, home policy, or life insurance, if you are currently insured or just looking for a quote, Tony Hoagland and his team would love to create a personal price plan just for you. Mention How About That Cigar when you make your first appointment, and Tony will have a free cigar just for you. For more information, please call 763-421-4900 or visit champlininsurance.com. All right, next week on the show, October 28th, we have Howard G. from Howard G. Cigars. So grateful to finally have him on the show. We've been working on that one for quite a while. November 4th, we have Anto Marukian from, I'm so sorry about that pronunciation of the last name, Anto Marukian from JM Tobacco. And then on November 11th, none other than Hector Alfonso Sr. and Jack Tarano from Espinosa Premium Cigars, talking about La Zona Palooza 2024. So Terence, thank you so much for being on the show, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Reilly. Appreciate your time.
Greatest day of our whole lives, and we shared it together. Who would have thought?
Absolutely. If you would please give our viewers and listeners an idea, where is the best place for them to keep up with everything going on with Aganorsa Leaf?
Aganorsa Acolytes definitely is great, and our Facebook group, and then of course our YouTube channel is great. Aganorsa Leaf has a lot of great stuff. All videos on everything we're doing comes out there, and of course Instagram Aganorsa Leaf, and then our profile page on Facebook as well, Aganorsa Leaf. Please follow us. We stay in touch. We always like to hear from you.
Nice. Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it.
Thanks, brother.
No, my pleasure, guys.
Do us a favor, hang out in the virtual green room for a second after we go off the air.
Yes, sir.
All right. Viewers and listeners, guys, thank you so much for being the absolute best part of How About That Cigar Live. So grateful for you guys being with us here on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and
Rumble.
And, of course, our audio podcast listeners. Guys, thanks so much for making How About That Cigar Live a part of your regular audio podcast rotation. No matter where you watch, no matter where you listen, click on all the big, beautiful buttons. We really do appreciate it. It makes a big difference in what we do. If you have questions for any of us, you can email us on the website, howaboutthatcigar.com. Be sure to follow us on all your favorite social media platforms. You will find us at HBT Cigar. And of course, until we see you guys next time, burn cigars,
not bridges.
Thanks, guys. Any comments, opinions, viewpoints, or statements presented or uttered by guests on the HBTC podcast, HBTC live video streams, and all other media from HBT Media LLC are solely those of the individual and do not necessarily represent the opinions or viewpoints of How About That Cigar or its parent company, HBT Media LLC, any of our advertising partners, or the premium cigar industry. The primary purpose of How About That Cigar is to entertain and to encourage activity and growth within the community of people who enjoy or want to learn about the enjoyment of premium premium cigars.